Hey guys, so there have been a lot of people who have been wanting me to make this video in particular. So, for about, I would say a month now, I've been focused on building a financial system. And it completely blows out Dave Ramsey, all of them out of the water, any financial advisor out of the water. It's a debt annihilator. But it's a lot more powerful than that. So, it's called Operation Flywheel. So, if you don't know what a flywheel is, it's a mechanical device that absorbs energy and it starts to spin. It's hard to start, but once it starts to spin and gain momentum, it becomes to the point where it works on perpetual motion, where it's harder to stop than it's easier to keep. It's harder to stop, where it's easier to keep going. So it's easier to keep going without stopping, is what I'm trying to say. So it runs a perpetual motion. And once it spins, you just got to keep filling it in. Filling it up, keeping it steady, and maintaining it. So, I wasn't sure how it was going to work. I was thinking, oh man, how do I do this? Like, what are the limits here? If I put money in, how much money do I put in? How many months in advance should I do it? I know I'm speaking ahead of myself here, but how much should I do that? How much money do I add on to it? And how much is enough? And how much is too much? And I just had to keep going with those thoughts. I was like, I don't know. I don't even know if this is even possible. I don't know if it's not going to be good enough. I don't know if I have enough money to keep it going and it just snaps back and it keeps me held. I don't know. And that's what Operation Flywheel was doing. I was like, oh man, I've never heard of anything like this before. I mean, there's nothing like it. So I was like, oh man, I gotta think about this. I created spreadsheets and I tried to do the numbers. I'm like, oh man, I'm not entirely sure how this works. We're gonna have to go by this month by month. But by the end of it's July 3rd right now. So about maybe 2 weeks ago, I was like, okay, I'm starting to understand how this goes. It's not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. And in fact, I didn't know this at the time, but like the first 2 days ago when I had to pay my rent, I didn't realize I was actually a month ahead. I actually bought 2 months in advance. I didn't realize I did that. So, kind of an overachiever right there. But, so, I'm doing much better than I thought I was doing, which is usually the case for me. So, let's go through here, and I'm going to show you an image on Safari. Well, it's not an image, it's a web page. It's my bank account, well, my credit card account, of how this works. Let me make sure that I'm not logged out yet. Alright. This is going to be small, guys. I'm sorry. But it's going to be big enough to get the point across. OBS isn't really good with Safari. So, I'm going to go ahead and open this. So, as you can see right here, we have a $0 account balance. This is the first time this card has ever been at zero. I've used it for, I think I used it for my e-bike once, maybe an e-bike. I use it a lot in DC, so this card was never at zero since I got it. So it's one of my big cards. It says here $1,100 limit card. So let's see. So you see current balance right here, zero. But then when you go down here, you see this. A $1,091 payment. That's a $1,000 on a credit card to pay it all off in full. Now, here's the trick. Here's the catch. Here's the crazy thing. So you see here is my $994. That's my income. And as you can see, it came out of my credit card right here. I mean my debit card, my bank account. So I got 71 left, which is not bad because everything's already paid right now. That's what credit card is. That's a COVID thing. We don't talk about that. So you see here, as you can see, it did come out of my bank account, $1,091.86, which is what it says here. That's me. So, but notice what it says right here. $994 came in. That's my income. I'm on a fixed income. So how was I able to take $994 and put it to $1,091? That math doesn't add up. You'd say, well, I saved a little bit of money on the side to do that. And no, I didn't. I'm actually using a very, very, very powerful system here. I'm going to show you how I did it. So it's not going to show up here because it's already paid for in a month in advance. But what I did was I put an advance on a non-negotiable expense, in this case rent. So I'm 2 months ahead of my rent. I got the rent money right here for next month. That's in August. I took that on my credit card. But because I got that $994, it can afford to pay that $990, that $400. The $994 pays that $400 for the next month. And I can do that for 2 months because that's $800, which is less than $994. So I'm able to save up money and put out these huge $1,000 hits on these cards. So I want to show you guys a spreadsheet. I don't know what this is going to look like on OBS because I haven't done this yet. Hang on, let me do a cut. Alright, I got it figured out. So I didn't show it on here first because I didn't want to shock you with a spreadsheet. So I'm going to go through all of this and explain it. And there's different ways you could have done it, but there's really no way you could do it without APIs and all of that. There's really no way to make a spreadsheet of the future, really more of the past. And it's, you'll know when I explain it. So here we are with the spreadsheet. As you can see right here, my platinum card, the Quicksilver. It might have appeared, but I forgot. I just realized that it's actually Quicksilver, not platinum. But anyways, as you can see, there's nothing here. It's blank because it's paid off. Leftover, you don't see it on my Chase account, but there's gonna be a $13.99 charge on a debit card. It's a monthly expense. It's my Spotify, and I can't live without my music. So it's gonna bring my account down to $57 in free cash, and that's gonna remain there until the end of the month. So, and my income is $805. Now you might be wondering, well, how is it $805 if we just saw $944, $994? If I say $944, I really mean $994. Just make note of that. So when we click on this, you see all of this. So these are my my account minimums, the pay on credit cards. So we got 30, 41, 42, and 76. So 30 is my platinum. We don't have to worry about that next month. But I'm going to keep it here just because I still need that card later on in this game. So it's a process. It's a chain link. Everything is chained. 41 and 42, I don't remember which ones those are. 41 and 42, they're either the Merrick or the Capital One Saver. I think the 42 might be the Saver. I don't remember. It's a $1 difference. It doesn't matter. And then we got 76. 76 is my Affirm. So when we have the money left over and the income at a $944, then we get this. What I do is I buy $400 in advance, 1 month in advance. I've done it 2 months in advance on my card. That's why these numbers are so high. Last month it was my platinum one, which is already paid off, and then I got another $400, which is $800 in total last month, and that's where this comes from my Merrick, which is $600 limit card, and I'll show you that on Safari once I get that sorted out. Which, by the way, I'm going to close these tabs so we can start over and one minute. Hang on a second. I'm gonna have to edit this video because there's so much problems with the video recording. I'm having stuttering lag here and there, and it's causing second delays. So I don't know what the videos are gonna look like, but I'm gonna edit those pauses out. I think probably my Mac, it needs to be dusted out. There was a lot of dust in here. I've said it many times, so I think we're having a dust problem, and it's creating heat, and it's problematic. So as I was saying, I'm gonna go to my Merrick account and show you how that works too. So we got, so as you can see, with one reserve, even without that money left over, you'd say it's free money. It's not free money because it's part of a, remember, it's part of a chain. It's part of perpetual motion. And I'll show you what I mean in that in a few minutes. So we got 862 here. You see how it's all added together, multiplied by this when you add the reserves. So if I have $800, I can do that. And it tells me how much money I can spend in advance. I borrow 2 months in advance of that $994. And how much of that can be, well, it's not $994, it would be $805. But you understand the logic there. So this money can go to either this card or this card. However, it can't go to one or the other by choice. You don't have a choice in which one those cards go to. The reason you don't is because, let's say you took that 862 and put it on your 597. That ain't gonna work, because it'll be much smarter to put it on the Merrick, because the Merrick is a credit card, and I can pull out another $400 when I need it to go on the Affirm. You might be thinking, why would I pay off a debt like that only to add $400? Now, not only is it $600 limit, but why would I put another $400 on that when I could just put it over here? I could do that, but I think it's smarter if I did it over here. The reason for that is because when I do that, let's do the math. Since it's a spreadsheet, I can do math. So if I do 862 minus this number, let's see what we get. We get 316. Then where that money goes here is up here, 316.52, because that's leftover cash, right? So now look what happens. Now, because that month is already paid for, we gotta add this. Now, 805 doesn't change even though we cleared this card, but if we put 0 here, or we just wipe it out, now we get that in our available cash. Well, let's go ahead and do one. Let's say we're just buying it month by month and just keeping the motion maintained. We're not trying to do an advancement on the advancement. So that gives us $1,121. So, as you can see, it isn't enough to cover the Capital One. That's what I'm going for. That's the final boss. So we can take that 121 and add it here. So let's do that. So we say, let's do minus 597. We get 524. Now we add that to here. We're spending money, but we're actually having more money come in than going out. Oh, 524.26. Now look what we've got. We got 1,329, and look what we've got here. It's going directly to, we remove this. And now it's actually different because now we wiped all the debt. Now we're going to have that 30 up there. But for the other cards, I'm going to say, for the sake of numbers, we're going to go with the higher number. So we're going to say that, but we're going to remove it to 76 because that's what he paid for it. So let's see what our numbers look like at that point. 922. Now look at it. We got $1,446, and look what number is less. That means that in one swipe, I can pay this entire thing off one time, all at once, on a $994 income with an investment on $400, which is rent. You couldn't do that normally. There's also a number that isn't showing up here, and because we did that twice, we'll remove the, we're going to account it for it in here. I'm going to say it's 42, which means I can remove it from here. I could have kept one and put them together because that represents the months. So this is what it would actually look like. So look at all this income that's available that we can use. And look how much money we have left over. We're over. We're almost at our... Well, we would be if this, the $30 is coming from up here because I'm assuming that's $400. Again, it's hard to see that in a spreadsheet, the back end. But you can understand how it is. So when this goes up there, all debt will be cleared. And we could go with reserves. We could pay more in reserves in the future. Or we could do whatever you want to do. I mean, you're debt free at this point. You would do it. Let's say it's $900. We say it's $900, but even then, we'll have that. Well, actually, we'll have to do another calculation before I do that. Let's bring that number back. We're going to have to look at this because we got to add it for next month. So we have $214 left. So that's wiping it out. But we're debt free at that point. So the next month I'll have available to me is, well, let's put 800 here. Puts us $894, but that's lower than, and we want to account for the $30 minimum in that because it's already going to be included. The minimum would already be included in the cost of paying off the entire debt. So all the debt would be clear at this point. Yeah, we're going to clear that. There you go. Now we have a surplus of $408 that month. And now we have, what is this, 214? I think I might have not did the months right on that one. But here we got $2,000. No debt, nothing. Pure cash. And that's good because I need... And the reason why I needed to do this was because I'm working on big projects for that room. I'm still needing to put in like another few $1,000s on it. I already put in almost, I would say, somewhere between maybe $6,000 and $8,000 in that room already. And I still got to buy blinds. I still got to buy an air purifier. There's tripods. There's lighting. I gotta buy the foam soundproofing or sound isolation. Um, there's LED lights that are going around. There's just a lot of stuff that's going to cost me a few $1,000s. There's also the Delta Pro. That's going to cost me almost $2,000 there. Um, so that's why I'm really aggressive with everything that's going on. And the Capital One Saver, the reason why that was so high was because that was for the camera. Most of my camera stuff was put on that. So that would be my camera, my lens, the SD card, the case for it, the cleaning stuff for the lens and the camera. All of that was included in that. So that was $1,300 right there. And there was a few other things as well, but that was the majority of the expenses. The Merrick, like I said, it was for that rent, $400. Having that extra in a month. The Affirm. The Affirm is also part of the project. I was kind of getting impatient, and it was good to have Affirm. I don't recommend anyone having Affirm if you're trying to get into debt, and I don't think that's a good way to have a firm. I don't think that's a good reason to have a firm. I'll make a video about that in the future, but a firm is more of if you want to have a project. If you're working on a project like a bedroom, a studio, something like that, where you need a buy now, pay later. It works for if you're a content creator or you're building something, a project. I wouldn't do it for anything like, you know, you gotta be working on something that improves something, or you're working on something. I wouldn't use it for anything like clothing, for example. I mean, I wouldn't really even use it for like a new laptop or a computer. I mean, I would say, if you're working on a big project and you're wanting some really big value items, then yeah, maybe a Mac Studio, maybe a high-end computer, but it's got to be something you're actually building, a project. That's the best way I can say a firm is good for. But yeah, that's what it looks like. And I was trying to tell, there's like two different sides to this. You try to explain this to people, and you're like, "Oh, why are you putting money up front like that?" Oh, which by the way, let me talk about that. Why are you putting money up front? Why are you paying now? Why are you paying 2 months in advance and using all your money when you have cash already? Well, if I did that, this wouldn't be 805. It would be, let's see how far we gotta go back. 805. It wouldn't be this. It'd be this. So it would be 994 minus 400 in rent minus 30. It would be 405. Now the problem with 405 is I still got my own expenses like groceries and other stuff like that. I got like $166 on groceries each. Well, that's the bare minimum. It can rise. I think it's like maybe 250 realistically. But let's say it's 166. Well, let's say 200, right? So with that, I only get $205 left over each month. $205 ain't gonna do crap to the Affirm, the Merrick, definitely not the Capital One. So you buy in the future with those advancements. You get $994 for the months in reserves ahead of time, and you get access to, well, if you did 2 months, like it says here. So let's remove these two. It says 805. So if I do 2, I get $2,134 available to me instead of $410. And what did I get $410? Well, it would be 400 minus 205. Well, 200. I get 205. So if I do 2, it'd be $934. Well, actually, that wouldn't be there. Yeah, $410. So, yeah, I mean, $410 ain't gonna do shit for my Affirm and my Merit. It doesn't even come close. I'll still be having to pay Capital One and Capital Saver and get nowhere, which is what I've been doing. So yeah, and the reason why I came up with this idea, I had some money and insurance money for and now my rent was coming out of that, so I could pay towards this. I was like, oh man, I just ran out of money last month, so that's why I've been hustling for that, using those credit cards, trying to pour out money, go 2 months in advance, and hoping that it's working. Because like I said at the beginning, I wasn't even sure if it was gonna work. I was like, man, this better work, or else I just spent $400 on $800 on. I just spent like $900 on $800, almost $1,000 for $800, and that's what it says right here. And I'll go through that in a second. So, yeah, you ain't getting nowhere with this. That's rent money right there, plus $10. So I'm not getting nowhere with that. And if I do it once, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. Yeah, so, yeah, I definitely like this system. I'm going to have to go to the very beginning. Yeah, it looks like that. So, yeah, that's how it progresses over the months. So let's talk about this. So what I do is, I'll explain the top stuff later. So it costs me $400 and let's say $500 for 1 month of rent. So I'm losing $95 on a premium to get $400. Now you might be thinking, well, why would you spend money like that, $95 on $400? Well, to access this system, $95 is the upfront cost for that. And now you can do $800 for $955, which is, how much is that? Let's do it in a spreadsheet since we have that opportunity. Equal sum of minus 800. So I have a $156 fee. That's a premium. But here's the thing. That's 2 months of rent. So it's really this in actuality. So we use parentheses, PIM does, and we do divided by 2. So I'm spending $78 on $400. So whereas if I went up front and bought $400 for $495, I'd be spending with a $95 premium. But here it's reduced to a $77 premium per month. So it's higher cost, but for the month to month, it's a lower premium on a monthly basis. And for $77, even $95 to access a $900 and, well, not the $4,994, but to access even at least $805 compared to $205, give me the $77 all day. You could, even if it was like $200, it'd still be worth it because it's a small price to pay, it's a small fee. You only gotta do it temporarily. But even then, after everything's paid, you get that full $994. So, makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So yeah. So people wanted me to talk about that, and here it is. And we're gonna continue. I'll probably make videos of me showing this off in real time, in the future, showing me going through this process so you can, take notes and everything else, write it down, do the numbers, and see it happen. And people are very interested, so here's the video on it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now. Oops, I want to add one more thing. I didn't realize it until after I ended that video. My merit card. Let's check that out. We gotta log in here. Gotta verify myself. Hang on a second, guys. Alright. So, here it is. Let's see if the numbers match in my spreadsheet. It should. It should. 545.48. Yeah, okay. They match. Alright. So, I'm going to show you guys this. Before I do that, let me show you this. Alright, so you see right here, Merrick is 545.48. See that right here? Now we're going to switch to my, turn that off, turn on Safari, and you see 544.48. Available credit is 54, which is fine. The only thing that comes out of here is actually ChatGPT. If you don't believe me, we can check that out. There might be something else, but I believe it's just ChatGPT. Oh yeah, it's 41. That's the minimum. So yeah, I was right. 42 on the saver. Government services. That's $400. Where is my thing? Activity. Annual fee. Oh, they terminated annual fee last month. Okay. Yeah. ChatGPT. Yeah, that's right here. And as you can see right here where that $495 is coming from. That we mentioned before. Like I said, that's how it worked. If we go in the spreadsheet, let's see what happens. So you can see right here, $495.95. You get, yeah, 4 notes. That's one of these sheets right here. That's the 4-note sheet I showed you guys. Yeah, and it's worth $400. You see how that goes. Yeah, it's right here. See, $495 from the U.S. Mint. Yeah, that's what. That's how that worked. All right, let me turn up the spreadsheet. Where did the $41 come from? $42. Huh. I don't know. Strange to me. Because all the numbers make sense. I don't see a $41.95 anywhere. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that. Because that didn't show up on my Chase. I don't know. Interesting. Not that it changes anything. I gotta look into that. Where did that $42 come from? Anyways, you see how this works. And yeah, next month I'm gonna pay this off in full. Then the month after that, my firm gets paid off. And then the month after that, because of accumulating of the leftover money, keeps accumulating, it can add up going on that main card, that big card, the final boss, which is gonna be badass to pay off in one swipe. So yeah, guys, um, just wanted to talk about that, and I'm gonna have to figure out whether it's $41, $42, uh, because I didn't see that before. That's my first time seeing through this. So, um, I see you guys in the next one. Bye for now. Alright guys, so I just finished looking into that 41.95. I was like, that didn't make sense to me. What happened was, that's actually this. $2 notes. I forgot all about that. Yeah. That's what it is. This what was it? Was it 8? Yeah. 2013 $2 8-note sheet. It says it right there. Yeah, this was the $42. Yeah. I was like, did they just slip a random $42 that I didn't know about into my account? No, it was that. That was the prop. This is what it was originally for. This was the prop. This was for a future video. And all this after it was just a matter of circumstances. Perfect storm. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting way of doing it. So, oops. I just only hit this. Yeah, so it was a perfect storm of how that worked. So that's why the 42 came from. Yeah. I was like trying to think, why did they charge me an extra shipping fee or something? But no, that's completely fine. So yeah, guys, sorry for saying it for like the 15th time today. Well, third time. Yeah, third time, I think, of saying bye, but I assure you this is going to be the last time. I promise. So guys, I'll end it here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.